Welcome to Our Inner Wisdom. I'm your host, Charlie Lundholm. We are in some intense times right now, and we could all use help finding some balance and clarity. To help with that, I'll be sharing channeled messages, interviews, and discussions on a variety of topics designed to help you feel more grounded, calm, and connected to your source. I thank you so much for being here today. Now let's go tap into our inner wisdom. Hello and welcome. I wanted to share some information that's coming through the guides recently, and this isn't new information, so I'm going to give you a little backstory about it. At the beginning of the COVID pandemic, so this was early 2020, a friend of mine and I started getting together every week, doing channeling, trying to figure out what we could do energetically to help with the pandemic, to help with the fear that was going on, all the angst that was going on around the world, but especially, what we were experiencing in the United States, because it wasn't just the pandemic. There was also all the political upheaval that is still going on, apparently. And at the time, everyone was talking about social distancing, and they were talking about washing your hands and wearing a mask. And so there were all these kind of preventative measures, but very few people were talking about how to support your immune system. How could you support your body to stay healthy, not just avoid coming in contact with the virus? So that was one of the questions that we asked the guides. And what came through I thought was really interesting, and it's coming back up again now, which I also find interesting. So I want to share it with you. What they said was be conscious of what you are consuming on all levels. So my first thought was, okay, they're talking about food. Be conscious of what we're eating, how we're eating, what's our emotional state when we're eating. Are we eating organic? Are we in a place of gratitude for the food and for how it has made its way into our lives? So that's where I thought they were going, because obviously that would have a positive impact on our immune system and keeping us healthy. But they were going a little deeper than that. So they said, be conscious of what you are consuming on all levels. And yes, food was one of them, but also of what you are inhaling. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? As well as what are you tasting? So it was more about what are we consuming through all of our senses? What are we consuming when we watch the news, when we read the newspaper, when we listen to someone gossip, or somebody who's angry, or maybe we are eating food that our bodies don't like. Maybe we're drinking things that our body doesn't like. But to be conscious of it, because it all impacts our physical bodies. It impacts our energy, our energetic bodies. And all of that affects how we feel, how we function, how we show up for ourselves, for our family, for the world. It really was an interesting concept, because we can go along and we hop on social media, we see everybody's nasty stories, we read, all the keyboard warriors' nasty comments, even the local neighborhood site. It's always got somebody on there who's just ranting. And so by reading it and reacting to it, I have now consumed that. And one of the ways that they were asking us to pay attention was to be conscious of how we felt after we consumed whatever. So how do you feel after you watch the news? Are you pissed off? Are you numb? Are you totally neutral now because we've all been bombarded with so much stuff we don't even react anymore? Maybe you are sad, or hey, maybe it was that rare happy story on the news and you're feeling pretty good. but being aware of how something makes you feel, being aware of how someone makes you feel, being aware of how a place makes you feel. I used to work in a hospital that was such a toxic environment. It was not pleasant. The people weren't pleasant. And every time I got off the elevator and looked at this particular tile floor, I can still see it, I would get nauseous. I just did not want to be there. And so I made a change. But I know people that stayed there and worked there for 20 years and they hated it every single day. They hated it. And thinking about that, can you imagine that energy and the effect that it had on their body, on their immune system, how they felt at the end of the day? What did they bring home to their families, to their loved ones? And this is important because of how it affects the energetics. So let's go back to the example of you're watching the news and there's some horrific story. And we're human, we're going to react. And that's okay. Sometimes that reaction puts us into action, right? We don't like the way something is going. So we do something about it. We want to be part of the change, whether that means we go out and physically do something, or we donate to a cause, or become part of a cause, or maybe we work on the energetics. Maybe we work behind the scenes and we are sending love. We are anchoring light to help whatever it was that we just saw. That's all going into a state of action as a result of how you felt about something. But what if those feelings that you have about something don't go into action, but they just stay in you and just kind of hang out for a while? And then you hear another story and that gets added in. And then your partner says something that irritates you and that gets added in. And it all just stays inside. And that all can crimp your energy. It can decrease the flow. It can muck things up, if you will. And we have a choice there. We don't have to stay in that situation of watching the news. We don't have to continue to listen to our coworker who goes on and on and on about how awful the boss is. We don't have to sit there and eat kale just because somebody says it's good for us, but honestly, it's just awful. We have choices, and being conscious is the first step in making those choices. So being conscious of what we consume, being aware of what we are consuming and how it makes us feel. And then from that point, we get to choose. I know. If you've listened to me before or worked with me, you're probably thinking, great, here she goes again. It's all about conscious choice. But it is about conscious choice. We're not victims sitting here going, oh, I'm just bombarded with bad news. Then stop listening to it. Stop saying yes when you really want to say no. Pay attention to what your body is saying, what it likes, what it doesn't like, how your energy is flowing. Are you exhausted? Why? Take a look at it. Don't just drink more coffee because you need to push through. Are you really mad and irritated? Are you like a walking volcano? Why? What's under there that needs to get resolved? That needs to come out, whether you just need a pop-off valve and you need to go scream into a pillow, or do you need to have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody because something isn't feeling right? Don't ignore you. Don't ignore your body. I was just having this conversation with my son about our bodies and how they are so good at giving us a little warning sign. Hey, I don't like something. Hey, I'm exhausted. hey, eat that again and you're going to pay. It's like if you were driving down the road and your car suddenly had that warning light, check engine light, come on. Chances are you would pull over and try to find out what the problem was. Hopefully, you wouldn't keep going another 3,000 miles before you got it checked out. Because if you did that, probably something would break. But that's what we do with our bodies. We just ignore them, and it gives us the little tiniest warning light first. And if we pay attention, then we can deal with whatever that has to do with. If we ignore it, that warning light starts getting a little bigger, a little brighter. You have more physical symptoms, maybe more energetic or emotional symptoms. But your body, your energy, your flow is saying, pay attention. Pay attention to me. Something isn't right. You're ignoring stuff. And when we ignore stuff, then it ends up kicking us in the ass. So again, it goes back to being conscious, being aware, paying attention, taking yourself off the back burner. You deserve to be front and center on your stove. What do you need? What do you want? What do you want to consume? What foods float your boat and make your body happy? Do you love to get out in the fresh air and just breathe in some beautiful, clean air? What are you looking at? What do your eyes get to consume? And this is an interesting one because a lot of times we will look out, but we won't really see. You can look out and you can see all the trees and go, oh, yeah, there's a lot of trees. But if you stop and really look and really see them, you realize how beautiful they are, how big they are, watching them sway in the wind and dance. All of that is incredible when we allow ourselves to see it, when we're conscious of what our eyes are consuming. See the beauty around you. See the smiles on the faces of those who you love, or the smiles on the face of a stranger who holds the door for you at the grocery store. Little miracles, little acts of kindness happening all around us all the time. But we need to be aware, acknowledge it, give it the credit that it's due, instead of giving all of our energy to the muck and mire, to the stuff that brings us down, that brings our energy down, that makes us feel like crap, makes us angry. We get to choose what gets our energy, what gets our attention, what we want to focus on. How do you want to feel? What do you want to consume? That's a good question. Whether that be food, whether that be incredibly clean, pure water that you're going to drink. Or maybe it's that really great glass of Chardonnay. Who knows? It's up to you. What floats your boat? What do you want to see? What do you want to hear? Do you want to hear the rattling of negativity and people fighting and bickering? Or maybe you want to hear some really great music that moves you and makes you feel good. What do you want to feel in your skin? That old rough fabric? Or maybe something soft and cozy? You see what I'm getting at? Pay attention to your senses. Pay attention to how you're feeling. Pay attention to your body and what it's telling you. Dialogue with it. Ask it what it wants. It's a very interesting thing to do right before you eat something. Ask your body, hey, do you want this? Oh, it'll tell you. It'll give you a yes or a no. You just have to pay attention. Trust that you're getting the information. And trust your body. And then do what it wants. It'll be a lot happier. So our invitation from the universe, from the guides, is to be conscious of what we are consuming on all levels, because this adds a richness to our life. All of our senses add a richness. They add to our incredible human experience. They give us this depth of feeling and experiencing, but we're so on autopilot and we're missing out on a lot. We miss out on a lot by not being conscious, by not paying attention, by having our heads buried in our phones. How many times have you seen something incredible happen and everybody's scrambling to get their phone to catch it, take pictures or take videos, and then the moment's gone and they missed it? They didn't see it. They didn't get a picture of it. They didn't get a video of it, and it's gone because they were too focused on, capturing it or being able to have that next post on social media, that they missed the event. So our guides are inviting us to not miss the event, to not miss this incredible thing called our lives, to not have our human experience in a state of neutrality, of numbness, but to feel, to be conscious, to really enjoy your senses, to be conscious of what you consume on all levels. So there you go. There you have it. So enjoy everything that your senses give you. Thank your body, love your life, all of its ups and downs, because it truly is a gift. Okay. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you next time. Thank you for listening. For more inspiration or to find out more about my work and upcoming classes, please visit ourinnerwisdom.com. And for beautiful crystals and minerals, please visit our sister site at earthgallery.com. Until next time, keep tapping in to your own inner wisdom.